and welcome back to Resolution. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, click the bell for our notifications, and don't forget, give us a big thumbs up. So today we're looking at the SINNIS Apache SMR 125. Now this is a bike you can seriously throw around. It's lightweight, upright, and it will put a big smile on your face. Now the 125cc Supermoto engine puts extreme rider in you on the street every day of the week. It's got a twin exhaust, a digital dash, and a nice trellis frame. I think the orange in the frame just really pops out at you, and it gives it a real expensive look. Now this one does actually have some like premium style tech on it. So the Apache SMR's digital display features everything you need to know for a thrilled ride, with electronic fuel gauge, electronic clock, electronic speedometer, and also handlebars that offer sturdy handling to reduce the vibration and fatigue on the rider's arms and hands throughout your ride. So if you do take this bike off-road, you are going to be able to just keep going for a lot longer than you would do on some other basic 125s. Right, so we're going to start this video by putting some fuel into the SINNIS. Now the actual fuel cap comes completely off on this one. I'm going to try and remain on the bike whilst fueling. I'm going to go put a couple of quid in. This bike goes back in a couple of days, so I don't want to fill up too much. However, it is completely empty. So actually I will put a full tank in this one. I'll just siphon it out and put it back into one of the other bikes so we can see how much fuel it takes to put a full tank in it. So that is pretty full. And that has cost £9.08 at £1.35.9p a litre. So it's not too bad for that. How easy is it to get the fuel cap back in? Yeah, nice and easy. So that is all done. Good old BP with their loyalty points. So this is a first impressions of the SINNIS Apache SMR 125. Haven't really ridden this bike a lot. I've had it since November. That's like 4 months ago I got this bike delivered from SINNIS. However, we have been in lockdown and I haven't been able to get out and ride it. So this is pretty much my first impressions of this bike. Now it is a relatively tall motorcycle. When you put your feet down on the ground, you do feel that you are quite high up. The seat is slanted quite far forward, like a Supermoto would be. So I do feel like I'm sliding forward quite a lot on this bike. I'm going to push myself back, I'll slide forward again. It isn't the most comfortable of seats that I've ridden on a motorcycle, and I've ridden a fair few now. However, I don't think it's designed for comfort and designed for going long distance. I think it's more of a little bike that you should go and nip around the shops, put some off-road tyres on, and go potentially off-road. Changing gear is nice. It does handle quite well. It's easy to find the indicator switch. But one thing I'm not too keen on is the fact that when you want to look down at your speed, you've really got to take your head down and look down. You can't just glance, which is slightly annoying. So you've got to really take your eyes off the road to see your speed. Everything is down really low, and it's not very user friendly with it being down that low. However, if you're not too worried about what you're doing, you're not going to be looking down there anyway. It does have a gear indicator on this bike. There's 5 gears, 1 down, 4 up, and it is very simple to get the gears in. It's not a clunky, not a hard gear selector. It's really easy. The levers are at a nice distance. They're not adjustable, so they are fixed in the one position, but they are very easy to get your hands to. This bike is only rated at 11.5 horsepower, which is on the lower end and the underperformance side of 125s, like most SINNIS's are. But at the end of the day, you're buying a 125, you're not buying a performance bike, so therefore you've got to expect low power. and it pulls relatively easy. I'm not having any issues trying to accelerate. This bike comes with LED lighting and specifically designed twin underseat exhaust system, which is tucked nicely under the tail of this bike. With adapted fairing panels mounted to unique trellis frame to keep the airflow tight and the weight distribution optimal for a better riding dynamics. So SINNIS have really gone to town on this bike to try and make it a really good design bike, but also economical for actually what it needs in relation to its airflow and cooling system, as this bike is an air-cooled engine. Now, this SINNIS Apache SMR uses the same SINNIS engine that is on the SINNIS Apache SM version. It's bulletproof, 5-speed Suzuki derived technology and unique trellis frame surrounding the engine as the improved level of stability and support for this monster of a package for only a small fraction of the price. Now, the SINNIS Apache SMR 125 is going to cost you £2,349 on the road, which is a realistic price for a 125. It's not too expensive. It also comes with warranty from SINNIS. The maximum power output on this bike is exactly the same as the SINNIS Apache SM, being the same engine. It's 11.5 horsepower. Now, it's not a great deal of horsepower, but it's going to be enough just to get you about. You are going to want a little bit more horsepower, so SINNIS actually do a specially designed aftermarket exhaust for this bike, which should just give you another 1, maybe 2 horsepower, just to get you up to the likes of your Yamahas and your KTM 125s. Now, it's a single cylinder, a 4-stroke air-cooled 125 engine, 1 down, 4 up on the gears. It's chain driven. It's an electronic start on the starting motor, and it's an electronic fuel injection engine, as you would expect from today's 125 motorcycles. This is a 40-mile-an-hour area. I want to see what it's like on an acceleration up to 40. Now, it is obviously going to outperform cars. It is a motorcycle, they weigh hardly anything, so let's see how long it takes to get to 40. So that's 30. There we go, 40 miles an hour. And I don't know if you can see that, but the cars behind are really far behind. So, acceleration wise, it's a 125, but it does get you away from the lights, get you away from the traffic very comfortably. With the actual display on this bike, it is really futuristic for the price. I think it's about £2,400 for this bike. You've got an electronic display, all digital. You've got a fuel gauge, electronic rev counter, electronic speedo. So let's go this way. Electronic clock, gear selector, your mileage indicator, and you've got a couple more things. So I have no idea. You've got trip computers, average, lap timer. You've actually got a lap timer on this, which is pretty cool for I guess at the end of the day it is a supermoto, so you are going to potentially be taking it off-road, see what your lap times are like on your off-road courses. So it's quite a premium budget bike, I would say. Now, what's it like going around the corner? The road is quite bumpy on this one. It seems like it handles alright. The tyres are, there's a bit of a wobble on the bike there. So I wouldn't really want to take this bike too fast around a corner. They are skinny tyres. The actual seating position on this bike, it's not too bad. Your legs are at a nice easy, almost at like a 90-degree bend. They're not cramped. There is absolutely no wind protection on this bike whatsoever. As you can see, there's no windscreen. There's a little cover which is protecting the dials, and that's basically it. So the wind protection is a 0. There's nothing. The control setup is very, very simple. You got your headlight flasher, your high, your low beam, your horn and your indicator on the left hand side. On the right hand side I don't think it has hazards. No, it doesn't have a hazard switch. So you've got your engine start and your engine kill switch. That's it. Again, very, very simple for a simple bike. The wing mirrors, they're kind of like this diamond effect like SINNIS put on their Blade and their Apache SM. Now, having ridden both of those other bikes, I do prefer the wing mirror position on the Blade and the SM. Now the reason for that is because they're a little bit further forward and they're up higher, so when you look down into the mirrors you can see really easy, whereas on this SMR, I mean, the offside wing mirror, I can set that up quite nicely. The near side has been an absolute pain in the back. Just been really struggling to get the angle perfect on that one. Obviously, as you've seen, I've put a full tank in this bike, full tank of fuel, and the dial, the fuel gauge, is staying nice and consistent. When I left home, there wasn't a great deal of fuel in this bike, and the fuel gauge was constantly going from empty to 2 bars, to empty to 1 bar, up to 3 bars. I didn't have an idea what amount of fuel was in this bike. So when you start emptying the tank, you are going to want to keep a close eye on what is going on with that fuel gauge. Now the front brake is a single hydraulic disc, and at the rear you've also got a single hydraulic disc. The front tyre, you're looking at a 110/70 17-inch rim, and at the rear you're looking at a 130/70 17-inch rim again. It's a tubeless tyre design for the 17-inch rims, and you're looking at the front suspension, you've got upside down telescopic forks, and at the rear you've got a monoshock suspension. The length for this bike is 2,045 millimeters, and the seat height comes in at 860 millimeters. Now, I do find this bike is quite tall, to be honest, for a 125. When I'm stood up next to it, it is just in line with my hip, and when I go to sit on the bike, I am basically on my tiptoes. If you're a taller rider, you're going to have no issues with the height of this bike. However, you are going to struggle with the wind mirrors. I do not rate these wind mirrors at all. I think it's more the position of them, because with the SINNIS Apache 125 SM and also SINNIS Blade, they're very, very similar wind mirrors, and I didn't have an issue with those. But I think where this one, it's a supermoto and you're quite high up in the riding position, you're looking down at the wind mirrors, and to get the adjustment perfect to see behind you is quite tricky. So I would potentially change these wind mirrors if I did get this bike. And this is the full riding position. You are really, really high up on the bike. Like I'm saying, if you are a tall rider, you are going to struggle on this bike. I think it's not the most comfortable for a tall person. If you're short, then you're going to be laughing. However, your seating position is really high, therefore you're going to struggle when you put your feet on the floor. Now, when it comes to the actual styling of this bike, the seat is nice and basic, really bland. It is quite a hard seat. It feels soft when you're pressing on it, but when you're a 90 kilogram person like myself, it is really, really uncomfortable. Let me just get back on for the seating position. So this seating position, I feel like I'm slanting really far forward, as a supermoto would. So in comparison to the SM version of this bike, I don't rate the comfortability of this bike whatsoever. The SM was a lot more comfortable, and you could ride for a lot longer before you were getting quite sore. So I don't like the setup of this bike, but looks wise, it looks fantastic. So yeah, I think if you're in the market for a supermoto and you do like this positioning, like a KTM Duke, anything like that, then you're going to get on with this bike really well. However, if you don't like to be slanting forward all the time, it is going to be a struggle. So when I do ride this bike, I have to kind of just sit up a little bit, move myself back. I find myself sitting forward again. My clothing gets pulled backwards. It all just gets really uncomfortable. Bit of a shame, because it is a really good looking bike. So with the display, like I was saying earlier, you've got a nice digital display here. On the left hand side you've got your oil light, your engine management light, your near side indicator. On the offside you've got your neutral gearing indicator, your high beam, and obviously your offside indicator. On the left handlebar you've got your headlight flasher, your high, your low beam selector, your horn, and also your indicator selector. On the right hand side you've got your engine kill switch. There's a blanking plate here which doesn't really do anything, and also your ignition switch. Moving to the front of the bike, you've got your brake hose cable running across the dash like you have on the SM version and the blade. I personally would just loosen this bolt slightly and just pull it forward a little bit, because as you're riding, for my height, it cuts out your speedo and all the information that you want to be seeing, it's just gone. So that is something I would just move forward slightly just to get out of the way. However, it's not a big issue. The front of the bike, you've got a nice like dash surround here. It's got the SINNIS logo, SINNIS badge, you name it, it's there. It just tells you you're on a SINNIS. The headlight is set back a little bit on the mudguard. You've got a nice recess down here where the water can just flow off. Now, what I am going to do now is go on a top speed run it for this bike. We've got a national speed limit just ahead of us. I'm going to want to see if we can do 70 miles an hour on a dual carriageway national speed limit. I don't think I'm going to hit it. I think it's going to be just under. Obviously the traffic doesn't help. Most people don't do, well, 40 and a 40, but most people don't do 70 and a 70. I don't understand why they kind of stick to 40, which is beyond me, but hey. So we're in 4th gear, 6,000 revs, 39 miles an hour, and we're going to see what speed we can get up to. Let's go. So the throttle is wide open, 50 miles an hour, 9,000 revs. This limits at 12,000 RPM, 52 miles an hour. I've gone into 5th gear now, so that's 51. There is no chance I'm going to be able to hit 70 miles an hour. I don't even think I'm going to be able to hit 60 miles an hour. So it's a bit of a disappointment. However, we can always try it again. And this red light's gone green again. Oh. I will try and find some traffic that I can filter for you and show you the capabilities of its filtering, but at the moment that isn't happening. So me being 5'7", my foot is flat on the floor. Let's try and get at least 60 miles an hour out of this bike. Right, so that's 49, 50. 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. 60, 5th gear, 61. I think you're going to need a long section of road. 50, 63. Can we get 64? Come on. 64, 9,000 revs. And slowing down for the 40. Well, that's a bit of a shame. It'd be nice if SINNIS could actually put this display on their other bike, the Blade and also the SM Apache. It's just a normal bulb on this one. I've ridden it at night. It's nothing special. I'd personally try and upgrade that light, just give you a bit better light at night. The mudguard does look really nice on this bike. I personally really do like it. It's quite similar to that of the SINNIS Blade. So yeah, I like this one. Good design on there. You got your fork protection down here. That looks really nice. Gives it a nice little feature. Just again, just design. SINNIS have really, in my opinion, SINNIS have really done well with the design of this bike. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. Kind of KTM-ish, but at a fraction of the price. The wheels, they're just multi-spoke Y-fork style Wheels, nothing special, they look good. It's got a nice 90-degree bend on the valve down there as well, so changing the tyre pressure on this bike will be really, really simple. The indicators, they're LEDs, they are really, really bright, so people are going to see you indicating, whether or not they get out of your way or try and kill you on the road, as people seem to do in cars for some stupid reason. That's down to them, but they're nice and bright. At the rear of the bike, you've got nice grab rails for your pillion, or if you are moving this bike around, you've got good solid handles there to give it a good shift about. The exhausts on this bike, the design is really, really nice. You've got twin exhausts tucked up under the rear tail. They look really, really good. It also keeps the bike nice and sleek, so you can fit through tiny gaps. As long as you get those handles and the wind mirrors through, you're straight through, no problem at all. You haven't got a big exhaust sticking out the side. You do have your pillion pegs at the rear. As my video of the 125 SM showed, you can take 2 up on this with 11.5 horsepower, 2 adults. So if you do want to take somebody with you, that's no problem at all. However, this is higher than the front, obviously, so you're going to be really pushing the driver forward, which is going to get uncomfortable in my opinion. You've got a nice silver swing arm at the rear of the bike here. You've got a bit of protection for the brake caliper. So SINNIS have taken into consideration what is going to be needed to actually keep this bike safe when you take it off-road. And with the fairings on this bike, they sweep down nice and angular towards the front of the bike, giving it a nice like cut through the air style look. Again, you've got nice carbon feature around here. You've got an exhaust protector to stop your leg from burning on the exhaust, and you've got no protection on the side of the engine. However, you have got a good belly pan underneath the engine, so when you do take it off-road, you're not going to be smashing rocks and debris into that engine, which is a nice little feature to keep that nice bulletproof engine safe. Now when it comes to the weight of this bike, I can't remember what the weight of it is, so I'm going to put right now what the weight of the bike is, but it is a really, really nice easy bike to move about. You're not going to have any issues. If you do drop it, you're going to be able to pick it up really, really easy. So again, a nice simple 125 to get you about. For the price, you can't argue. It is a good entry level price just to get you up and about moving in your motorcycle career. Okay, so we got some parking bays here. Right, so the rear brake on this bike is really, really comfortable. Let's pop into first, see if we can get round in a couple of bays. Yeah, nice and easy. Let's try it again. Nice and easy. I personally, I wouldn't buy this one. If I had to get a SINNIS, out of all the SINNISes that I've test ridden, the one that I would probably go for would have to be the SINNIS Blade. Even though the Blade and the Apache are very, very similar, the Apache SM that is, even though they are very, very similar, I think the Blade has just got that little bit more edge on it. It's got a bigger front wheel. I mean, this bike is nice. Aesthetically, it is fantastic. It's got to be one of the best 125s that I've cast my eyes on. It just looks the business. It's got a good like KTM Kimco style. So I think SINNIS have done a really good job on the styling. But for the price, it is good. For the price, it is definitely good. That's idiot. Absolute tool bag. This guy is an absolute idiot. Right, so I've managed to find a little bit of, well, it's not even off-road, it's a little bit of gravel. So, again, this is on road tyres, but we're testing suspension, and yeah, I mean, the suspension's alright. It's quite flat, this gravelly area, so it's not really a good test of it. But I think there's a pothole here. Yeah, it'll be good off-road, I reckon. I reckon if you had a good off-road track, you won't be disappointed. So I've been on this bike for a good half an hour, I'd say, and I haven't struggled with it. I'm not finding it difficult to ride. It gets up to the speeds nice and comfortably. And I've said this in other videos about one of the Sinnises. I think it was a Blade. It accelerates like a car. It doesn't, you don't seem to struggle when you're accelerating. It just gets there in a comfortable manner. It doesn't take forever. It's not lightning fast. So thanks again for watching Resolutions. Just want to say a big thank you to all my subscribers. We're keeping on track for getting up to the 1,000 subscribers that we're aiming for within the first year of becoming live. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, press the bell for your notifications so you're the first to find out when we upload our new videos, which is every Friday, and also give us a big thumbs up. So until next time, thanks for watching, ride safe, and we'll see you soon.